Hey guys, you have tuned in for a segment of the Grind Never Stops podcast where we debate all things sports and talk rumors, trades, and scores, and many more. It's your host, DJ Joe. Before we start today's show, I would like to thank everyone who has tuned in to my show on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, and all the podcast platforms. But I also would like to thank everyone who has subscribed to my YouTube channel as we reached 130 subscribers. So keep helping us reach the goal of 500 subs. Also, I want to thank everyone who had donated to my PayPal for me to improve my sound quality and my content. And if you haven't subscribed, the link is in the description. And if you haven't donated, you can donate to fansportsclothing@gmail.com. And that link in the email will be also in the description. And once again, anything would be appreciated. But let's start today's show. In today's segment, we will recap Game 2 of the NBA Finals and preview Game 3, which is tonight. And we will also talk about how the Tampa Bay Lighting won the Stanley Cup once again. So, guys, as you guys know, in my last segment where I recapped Game 1 of the finals, and I told you that Giannis Antetokounmpo was abysmal on the offensive end as he took 11 shots in at least 36 minutes, and I told you guys that he has to step up. And guys, he listened and he did step up. But usually in the NBA finals, when you have a mistake, you have to eliminate it and have the opposing team make a similar mistakes or make more mistakes than you do. But in this case, it was also the Bucks that they made a mistake and then they had another mistake because the Bucks they fixed one problem and that was Giannis Antetokounmpo shooting 11 times and scoring 20 points in game 1 of the finals. But another problem came back because Chris Middleton was efficient in game 1, but in game 2, he scored 11 points in 41 minutes. So first you had Giannis scoring 20 points, taking 11 shots in close to 40 minutes. And then game 2, you got another one of the big three, Chris Middleton. And also Drew Holiday was inefficient once again. Like, you guys traded Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, Sterling Brown, and all these guys to get Drew Holiday. And this is what you get from Drew Holiday. And what are you talking about? The defensive specialist. The Phoenix Suns had four guys in double digits, had three guys scoring 20 or more. What defense specialist are you talking about? But man, you need those guys to have big games, and I'm talking about Chris Middleton, the veteran, and Drew Holiday, the veteran. And Drew Holiday played in with the big teams on big games on the biggest stage. Middleton didn't have the chance, but this is their chance now. This is now another chance for the Bucks because the championship is there right for them to take. Because you guys know that the Milwaukee Bucks can win both games here in Milwaukee. Game 3 tonight and game 4 on Tuesday. And and then they can go back to Phoenix, take back the momentum, win game 5 and come back here and win it for the fans. They have the potential to win this. But this game 3 is their game of their lives because yes, the Bucks signed these boys to big contracts, but that doesn't mean they will stick to their team because DeRozan signed the contract, and what did he do? He got traded. There's a lot of players, not in the NBA, but other leagues, they sign big contracts and they don't show that they deserve this. They will trade you. They will trade you. There's no there's no loyal thing anymore in sports. Maybe in the National Hockey League, maybe the Major League Baseball, maybe the MLS, the the Champions League, but the NBA, it's not loyal. Because look at what DeMar DeRozan did for the franchise, and he traded him like he's a bag of chips. Look at Damian Lillard, what he did ever since he came back to Portland, and there's a lot of rumors that the management wants to trade Damian Lillard. Like those loyal does not work, man. Because look at LeBron James. He left Cleveland to win a title and came back. There's no even the best players in the NBA are not loyal. But not only that, but the management is the most that's not loyal. So this is time back to the finals. This is time for Giannis to pull his tricks and win this game. You can't you can't be telling me that the Bucks cannot are down 2-0 to the Phoenix Suns. And that's no disrespect to the Phoenix Suns, but the Suns are a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2010 before this season. A team that has a veteran old point guard in Chris Paul, who's not even 100% healthy. They still got a young player in D Books, and they got a player whose name is Jay Crowder, who only plays defense and plays offense once in a blue moon. And Aiden, who's a young two-way center, and he's still a young player. He got drafted a couple years ago. But guys, let's go back to game two because Giannis did play well in game two, and he scored 42 points. And he was efficient from the floor, 15 for 22. And this is what Giannis Antetokounmpo should have done in game one. He should have done that in game one. But the Bucks didn't play well in the second quarter of game two because the second half was very close as both teams scored 30 points in each quarter, with the Suns scoring 31 and 32 in the fourth. But the Suns, the second quarter is where they took over the game, and that was ball game because the Bucks did one thing good in game two, other than Giannis scoring 42, is that they were able to defend the Andre Ayton, who only scored 10 points and only grabbed 11 rebounds. But that's the only thing they did because Suns had, as I said, four players in double digits and three players scoring 20 plus. And they need to get rid of Brook Lopez because he is doing nothing. I told you guys before these playoffs, Brook Lopez needs to stop shooting threes and go inside. Because what did he do against the Atlanta Hawks? And the Atlanta Hawks, when the Hawks took a lead in this, when it was series tied 2-2 in Game 5 in Milwaukee, Lopez had a party of uncontested dunks. But why can't he do that in every game? Stop shooting threes, man. They need to get rid of Brook Lopez because he's not helping them one bit. Yeah, regular season he was great shooting the three, but he's not shooting the ball great this season, and in the playoffs he's abysmal from three. But guys, uh, Lopez is not important because he's garbage. But for the Bucks, as I said, they need their big three to put up big numbers and to be efficient because we know Giannis Antetokounmpo can be efficient on the floor. We both know he's a two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. But we need Drew Holiday to have his first best game of these finals. It's game three, and he hasn't had a great game, and it's the Phoenix Suns. Man, that is bad. That is trash. Like you're in the NBA Finals, and as a veteran, as a defensive specialist as you are, and it's game three, and we still are not talking about that. You still didn't have your best game of these finals. against the Suns. And yes, they're the second seed, but it's the Phoenix Suns for crying out loud. But for Middleton, he needs to be more consistent. Because I don't understand where you were super efficient in game one, and that was a bigger blow than you were in game two, than the Bucks were in game two. So how come you scored 11 points in and he shot 16 times, but he shot 5 for 16 against the Suns? Come, man. The Bucks are just blowing this championship ring because they could beat these Suns. But for Middleton, he has been real consistent in these playoffs, and he was always criticized for not being consistent in big games and for not showing up. And yes, he had 11 points, he had 6 rebounds, 7 assists in game 2. But you you're the second best, probably the best scorer on the team. You can't be scoring 11 points and being inefficient against the Suns in the NBA Finals. Man, that is straight up trash. But we need more from the veteran. I'm not giving up on Middleton because Middleton is a veteran. He's a starter on the Bucks team. He is big shot, not big shot Bob, but he is big money that he can go off at any moment from the floor. But for the Suns, we've been talking on how the we're only been talking about the Bucks here. But for the Suns, they need to continue playing like NBA champions. They need to play like real continue playing real contenders. And everyone's saying CP3 is lucky. CP3 is not lucky, man. He's been half healthy. Devin Booker, there was games in these playoffs where he was inefficient. But Chris Paul is the leader. And maybe Chris Paul will end up being one of the top 10, maybe top 5 best leaders of all time. But Chris Paul has been playing the best career of his life right now. Because you guys already know, you guys saw on the internet, on TV, that Chris Paul, every time he joins a team, before he joins it, that team was a certain percentage. But as soon as he joins it, that percentage is through the roof. Oklahoma City lost Paul George, lost Russell Westbrook, lost Carmelo Anthony, lost all these guys. And Chris Paul joined a young Shea Gilgeous Alexander, Steven Adams, and he took to a fifth seed. That's why Chris Paul is a leader, gentlemen. But Devin Booker also needs to keep doing his thing. He's been doing his thing in these playoffs, and ever since last season, and since the bubble, he's been on fire. And Devin Booker will, if Devin Booker scores another 30 and Chris Paul scores another 20 and 10 assists, this finals will be over in game 4 or game 5. And Mikal Bridges played well. Bridges played well. And where was the Bucks defense on Bridges? They couldn't guard Bridges in the NBA Finals? Come on. Why are you a top seed in the Eastern Conference? I don't understand how they were able to beat the Brooklyn Nets. I have no idea how they were able to beat the Brooklyn Nets. I don't understand how they can beat the Miami Heat and they can't beat the Phoenix Suns in the finals. Man, but game 3 is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, as it will be the first NBA Finals in Milwaukee since they had Kareem and Oscar Robertson. But let's move on. Enough for the finals, but let's move on to the National Hockey League, in which we will congratulate the Tampa Bay. Well, first we'll congratulate the Montreal Canadiens, who shut up all the critics. They were the last team to make the NHL playoffs, and it's the first time in NBA history that the last team to make the playoffs reached the Stanley Cup Finals. And it was the Habs' first appearance since the 1992. And Habs have had better roster than they had this season, and they couldn't make it. They had Thomas Plekanec, PK Subban, Andrei Markov, Michael Ryder. They had a better roster than they had this season. But this season's team had chemistry. They trusted each other, and they had veterans that can get it. That can get teams going. They got Tyler Toffoli. Armia was a great X factor against the Toronto Maple Leafs, against the Golden Knights, and in these finals, no one no one showed up for the Montreal Canadiens, and nor did Carey Price. But it was like a all-star kind of team playing against a young couple veteran team. But I want to congratulate the Montreal Canadiens for a great playoff run, and it's too bad that they couldn't get more than one win, and the only one they got was Game 4 in overtime. But the Tampa Bay Lightning they won last season in a bubble. Yes, it's a bubble, but they won the championship last season for a reason. They reached the Stanley Cup Finals for a reason, and the Tampa Bay Lightning did not play as good as they did play last season. But we know once the playoffs start, when you're a contender, you will show up, and that's what the Tampa Bay Lightning did in these playoffs. And that could be a process of a dynasty. Will they be a better dynasty than the Blackhawks? Well, now, yes, because now there were rumors that there was sexual abuse with the Hawks. But the Tampa Bay Lightning showed up in these finals. They did not let Montreal Canadiens, the last team to make the playoffs, probably a young team. Because they got the Suzuki's and all these boys. They're young. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are champs for a reason, and back-to-back champs. They had a curse that they couldn't reach the finals and they couldn't win, and now they won back-to-back champs. They're gonna look for the three-peat next season. But we also want to congratulate the Tampa Bay Lightning for a wonderful season and for being champions once again. But guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode as we recapped game 2 of the finals, and we previewed game 3 of the NBA finals, and we also talked how the Lightning won game 5 1-0 against Habs to secure their Stanley Cup champion ring back to back. And also don't forget guys to tune in as the Euro Cup finals is also tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, as Italy will play against England. And we also would like to congratulate Argentina for winning the Copa America final against the overrated Brazil. But guys, thanks for tuning in for this episode. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, and all the podcast platforms, and also to subscribe to my YouTube channel as I have 130 subs. Help us get to 500 subscribers. And if you haven't donated to my PayPal, you can. It's fansportsclothing@gmail.com. Email will be in the description, and links will also be in the description. Thanks for tuning in to this segment of the Grind Never Stops podcast. DJ Joe signing out.